So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are in the world. Thank you for taking the time to join me and my very special guest today. We are here in sunny Boston, at least it's sunny at the moment, for the Veeva R&D Summit, and that is affording me the opportunity to sit down with a very, very special individual I've had the pleasure of knowing perhaps for about 10 or 12 years now, and that is Mayank Anand. Mayank is the Vice President of Data Strategy and Management at GSK. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your background, who you are, your role, and just generally introducing yourself?
I'm based in Bangalore, India. So a lot of people get confused with me considering that I may be in the States and or UK or Europe, but I'm based in Bangalore, India. I'm working from there for GSK. I have been in the industry for 14 years now. And it's an amazing journey, I will say. With GSK, I'm playing a role of a Vice President and Global Head for Data Strategy and Management, which is a new coined term for a joint data operations teams together. So it gives a better visibility into what we do from end-to-end clinical data point of view. I've joined GSK last year in January, and last 1 year and 10 months have been a fantastic journey with GSK. And before that, I had worked for BMS, Syneos, TCS, Cognizant, Accenture, different roles, but all my life being a data manager.
We share that. And in fact, it's interesting because if I invert my career, I started at Glaxo. So perhaps we're doing things in the opposite direction. I'll let you decide which one's the better one. But there we go.
Sure.
But given the role you're doing and given it's coming in 2 years at GSK, can I take you back a little bit in time and perhaps to share with the audience a little bit of your own reflections about what was data management like when you started? And then I'll ask you to perhaps describe the last 2 years at GSK in a bit more detail as well.
I think so. When we started, for many of us, data management was an accidental career and not a planned one. And I keep telling this to a lot of people during my interviews is that it took me more than 6-7 years to convince my own parents that what I do. And especially in a third world country like India, where it was growing, it was just starting. We were more seen as a back office. So it was never a front career for anyone. People were still thinking what to do, what not to do after doing their masters in biotechnology. So for me, it was an accidental start, I will say. Someone said, there's a very good job in Accenture. It's called clinical data management. Will you like to apply? And I said, okay, let's go for it. But when I started, and I will be very, very honest with you, initial few days were confusing because I was a master's in biotech and human genetics, and I wanted to be in the wet labs, sitting behind the computers, looking into ECRF line by line, looking into Excel sheet. It was something that I was prepared or ready for. But as I started doing some more work and started gauging my own interest, there is not a single Monday when I'm not excited. And I was able to see what is going to be next 10 years in this industry very clearly. When we started, data was always on the secondary seat. We were given the second seat in every meeting, conversation, strategy. Data was not the priority from that situation where we were. But I was very clear that one day data will have the front seat. And I think so that gave me a lot of confidence and courage to continue working in this field, building more and more what is going to be future. And then someday definitely the day will come. And I think so we're in the right time where data is on the priority seat.
I think it has to be. I mean, like you, let's say 10 years ago, there was a lot of talk that the world of data management is done. Risk-based monitoring will take it over. And I do think, and we'll come on to this later about your role in the SCDM, I think one of the things that I admire so much about you in that role is you've helped data managers find a voice. Because I think in the whole RBM decade, data managers shrunk and they allowed themselves to be in that back seat. And now I think the voice is coming forward. And I think there's some companies like GSK and others who are leading a vision of what that future should be. And I think it's through your work at the SCDM that that's starting to really come to life now for so many. But we'll come on to that because I want to talk about that at length. But you said best job in the world, or that's what I wrote down. And I think I'd like to come back to that because do you really think this is a good time to be a data manager?
Yes, I think so. The best time for data manager was when EDC was coming in.
Yep.
Because there was so much of learning. The entire paradigm shifted the way we were operating our operating models, our team delivery systems. This is again the same time, with the same venture again.
Yep.
We were going to change the landscape of this industry. We will move away from many years of traditional data management, what we are doing, to the future of data science. Now, people can debate data science, business translators, data engineers, what it will look like. But for me, in simple words, I'm at a time when in future, I don't think so I'll be called as a data manager for sure. There will be something else. What that name will be, each organization and industry will decide. But for me, definitely it won't be data manager for future.
And I think that is because until every medical condition is resolved, till every patient has a cure, we will always be meeting a new challenge. And I do agree that this is an exciting time to be a data manager, because if data managers aren't driving the future of research today, I really worry for them, because they need to be.
Yeah. Very much. I think so. There was a very interesting debate recently in one of the forums where they said that data managers are just looking into one aspect of the data from a simple validation perspective. And my argument to that was, until they don't clean it, how a statistician or a clinical or pharmacovigilance will look into it. So it all starts with that basic work, what you call as basics. For me, that's the fundamental. And the way our data managers have evolved in last 10 years, I'm sure the kind of future they are going to bring to this industry will be remembered for years. And you're right. You cannot run away from data. Very clearly. And we will definitely talk about some volumes of data, what you're talking about, but I'm already seeing it. Who in this industry will clean terabytes of data? We. I'm sure no one else will do that job. So job is there. There is opportunity there. Every organization is evolving, making sure their pipelines are reaching to the number of patients and people they're looking towards it. Billions and millions of people are waiting for us. So it's a never-ending story. It's up to us how interesting we can make it and how we can get involved and engage throughout this journey.
So let me bring this close to home for a second, because you're almost 2 years into your time at GSK. I would say, from an outward perspective, you've overseen a pretty massive transition and transformation. Within confines of what you can share, could you just describe some of that transformation for our audience?
I think so. I'm very lucky to be in GSK at the right time. With talking to my peers in the industry and a lot of other colleagues, it's very clear that what GSK is trying to do, only very few organizations in pharma at present are driving it. That is big transformations. GSK's investments in making sure that we are future ready in terms of technology, our processes, is very highly valued within the company, outside the company. They also ensured that we don't go and create everything in-house. So they helped us to create some very good partnership ecosystem, which helped us to bring a lot of this transformation with acceleration within our ecosystem. Also, what is interesting and which motivates me, our ambitious for patient purpose. It's so important. Every day we think about patients. We're talking about vaccines and medicine reaching to people. If you would have heard Emma and other leaders talking in different forums, they all have been making one point very clear, that we are ambitious for patient. We'll do everything where patient is in center of everything. So you want to change technology? Good. You want to bring new processes? Great. But are you putting patient in the center of it? If you're doing it, I don't think so GSK is saying no to it. They're saying go for it. So for me, that's the best part being GSK at this point of time.
Very good. And in terms of the organization that you lead, could you just describe that? Because I'm very, very interested in how we introduced you, head of data strategy and management. Could I ask you just to explore that a little bit for me?
Yeah, this is also one of the this particular department nomenclature what is used at GSK was another exciting thing for me to look into it, because if you see traditionally what has happened, data management has been always siloed, not brought under the larger umbrella of strategy, more of a sub function to a sub functions in past. What GSK did was they said if they look into the clinical data from start till end, and when they say start, even before generation, protocol, till making it submission ready, which is the teams who work together. And all those teams they brought in together. So within GSK in data strategy and management, we have data acquisition team, which acquires the data, build the databases for you. We have medical coding, validation team. Then we have the core data management team who do your day-to-day study delivery work. We have centralized monitoring and data analytics team, who is equally important. And this is such a smart move to bring these two, data management and centralized monitoring, together, because they go hand in hand. It's very important. And then last but not the least, the last gateway is SCDM delivery, where you create the packages and give it to biostats. And it's also thinking into all these different sub teams, bringing them together. They thought this is the right way to design this department, where you can design the strategy from start to end and then deliver it.
So I love that story. I love that strategy, because I think it's the future of what we're doing. As you and I have discussed, over the last 10 years, I think my aspiration for technology has been that it can actually catch the scientific drive and perhaps even leapfrog. I kind of have this vision that instead of data managers trying to realize a clinical protocol, it's actually a data manager going back saying, do you know there's a better way and we can do it today? I would like data managers to go back to patients effectively and say, there's a better research methodology. Do you think that's in keeping with the GSK strategy, with the data strategy and management group?
Very much. And I think so. I will give the analogy which you believe in a lot, Richard, is about Rubik cubes. It's so important. And I remember my initial conversation when I took over this function was that how we should design a strategy. Just look into our DSM, what we do, design strategy, run operationally and done. Or let's see what the impact of an enterprise mindset can be with this team. So one thing definitely within DSM we are driving is an enterprise mindset. Now you want to bring a tool within an ecosystem, what that tool will do, who will be impacted, will they have the same view of the tool what we are having, or they see this as very differently? And if they have a very different end user requirements, do we understand that to meet it? Now, if you have seen traditionally in past what has happened, that many a time we have designed strategies which are very much in line with what we do versus it getting in line with what others do. So going back to the Rubik Cube analogy is very clear. When DSM looks into something, look into all our stakeholders, larger clinical operations, biostats, pharmacovigilance, clinical science, your monitoring organizations, your scientific writing organization, that how my every strategy is going to impact all these roles. And if I can take care of all these stakeholders, then what strategy we define becomes more inclusive, more acceptable, as well as the risk owning is together versus one function saying, I do it, I own it, I fall. Now we say we do it, we own it. If we succeed together. If we fall together.
But see, I think that's very elegant and it's very intelligent, because one of the things when we started developing this Rubik's Cube analogy was very much this idea that you can only ever look at three sides unless you either pick it up or you physically move. We also, I think, started to introduce this idea of it's solving while playing Jeopardy at the same time. Because for every move you make, someone else makes a move. Do you find then that by bringing that group together, does it actually slow down clinical trial strategy and thinking, or do you think it actually accelerates some of that delivery as well?
Thank you for that question, because I did not cover that in my initial talk, but I wanted to cover specifically on this topic, because there is a big assumption that if you create a broader stakeholder group,
Yeah.
it just slows you down.
Yeah.
I think so. What is important, if we are clear in our mind, who is the decision maker and who are the enablers,
Yep.
it will never slow you down. Problem in past has happened that when you create such a big group, there is no one who concludes as a decision maker. Then what happens? You keep debating, you keep talking about it, but you don't have results.
Yeah.
Versus within GSK, and for DSNM specifically, we do and larger ClinOps also. When we design these strategies, we are very clear in this large pool of stakeholders and SMEs who is the decision maker.
Yeah.
So if it's a single decision making concept, but you have enablers who enable the decisions. And that's why I said it's more than I, it's a we concept, which is helping to drive such a large engagement of stakeholder into an accelerated mode and not as a slowdown.
Yeah.
Also, agile thinking, is something which we are practicing very heavily within GSK. We believe that more than a concept, it's a mindset which we are trying to adopt.
Yeah.
And we are ready to fail faster
Yeah.
than waiting for the end product. And this is what we have applied to different transformation activities we have done across the board. But my advice to everyone is very simple. Don't think to move the mountain in one day. If you try to do it, you will never be able to succeed. Try to move it bits and pieces, break it down, and make your journey a successful journey. So maybe those smart business planning, those smart risk-taking methodologies, framework in organization can help many other organizations to come on the same path. What GSKs and some of the likes of GSKs are doing in the industry.
I think that's another great point I like, because you're coming back to this Rubik's Cube analogy. It's one move at a time. Is it the right move? Do we need to backtrack? But also, continue it forward. It's not just saying, have I solved the problem I set out to solve? Have I inadvertently created another problem? Or maybe I've solved another problem I didn't know I was going to solve, even better. But something you introduced me to, a phrase you introduced to me at the SCDM, kind of takes it a step further, and that's the concept of total experience. Yeah. Would you mind just perhaps elaborating a little bit what total experience means to you, and how that's also guiding some of your decisions at GSK?
Yeah, total experience is very important. I think so. We talked in one of the panel discussion that what if there's no total experience in the transformation you do? It will fail. And total experience comes with multiple enablements. One is your actual transformation, then change management, communication, stakeholder management, and all these contributes to total experience. Now, total experience cannot be restricted within the organization. It has to go beyond, because whatever we do, we impact patients, investigators, and if TX is not in the right way, you won't be able to succeed. So for me, total experience is helping me in designing my strategy. And as I said, when I design anything, most simplest strategy or the most complex strategy, I keep all my stakeholder in place and think from their lens what their experience is going to be with this product. And not everything can be ready on day one. So what you need to do, a very good change management and communication. You need to bring them on this journey for that right total experience. Otherwise, you may create something which can be a fantastic experience for you, can be a nightmare for someone else.
It's interesting. So as I was thinking about today, I heard a phrase that I've not used before. And it's an extension of a phrase that I use a lot. And so the phrase I've used a lot is, don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. But actually I heard a variation of that I think I prefer. And that is that don't let good be the obstacle to better. And I think that's what I've kind of latched onto with your discussions about total experiences. In my world, have something that's good, but actually it's causing a problem elsewhere. There is a better total experience out there, but I might need to give up something. And I think that's where I like the GSK strategy role of bringing everyone together, because it's not I have to give up and we gain. It's now actually we all gain and we all do something different, which I think is very powerful.
See, we have this habit of holding things very tightly, correct? if you hold something very tight, you are actually suffocating that person
Yep.
or that thing. Correct?
Yeah.
You have a light touch, it gives you a different experience. It's the same analogy in day-to-day work. We are so much driven by our own ways of working, strategy, thought process, that many a time we create problems for ourselves also.
Yep.
And I'll give a simple example. Just imagine I create a tool and I say, oh, this is a fantastic tool for data management. There's a medical community which is using. They don't get any benefit out of it. It will create a problem for the data management. The group which you thought in the center of everything when you design, but because you did not think about the other group, you created problem for your own group where you were thinking to design something better. So my thoughts are very clear that have a loose touch. Don't tie it too much. Even if you have to give away something, give away. It will create a better path for you and better life for your own people. Think about them. It will ease out for them.
So let me build off that. And I want to just step away from the GSK piece for a second, because something I know it's very dear to you, and something I've looked to invest heavily in as well, is the SCDM work. And I think you've just, as the standing chair of SCDM, you've just come out of the biggest conference they've ever done. I think you're about to step into, in December, the largest SCDM India event probably ever run. The event in Europe was hugely successful as well. Why is the SCDM so important to you? And I guess to add to that, I see in you someone who takes it very personally, not just a badge or a job. It's something very personal to you. So perhaps I could ask you to just explore that for me for a second.
I think so. SCDM is very close to heart, frankly speaking. Whenever I step into an SCDM event, even before I was a chair or any title behind my name for SCDM, I always felt that I'm going to a place where I will learn. Today also, in every conference, I will pick up my best 5 to 7 sessions, which I will definitely attend. And that gives me vision for future. That drives me what I want to design for future. And that gives me passion. And end of the day, even if I take 10% learning from an event, any conference, webinar, education sessions, it's learning, correct? So it's getting added to my kitty of learning. So for me, because of learning, it gives me that passion. And the second thing, I feel that I have a voice now. Even if I'm not a chairperson, if I'm not a board of trustee, I still, as a member of SCDM, I have a voice for the industry. I can write a blog, I can write a position paper, I can write an article, and it will reach to thousands and thousands of people in this industry. I don't think so there is anything equal to that for our industry, at least. There are similar bodies in different industry which support them, advocacy is there. But for data management, I think so SCDM is that one body where I feel that I have a voice, and not a local voice. I have a global voice. So, and I always quote this, a boy from a small town in India comes where people have not even heard SCDM today also. But when I can be heard in that body, anyone can be heard. And I think so that pushed me towards it, that, man, come on, there's more to be done. My chairperson tenure will end this year. Next year, I'm going to be passed. But I'll continue, whether I'm on the board, I'm not on the board. I will continue striving for SCDM, because I feel that till the time industry is there, SCDM is our voice. We can always come together, have a conversation, debate about it, and then align on it.
Now, in one of my previous questions, you talked about planning your attendance and some takeaways. So let me come back to that. What were your big takeaways from the SCDM this year?
AI/ML was the buzzword. You would have heard about it. So definitely I'm very excited about it. I myself personally, who is pursuing his own doctorate in AI/ML, feels that, oh, this is the future. I'm investing in the right place for myself as an individual. But as a leader, when I see, I'm so excited that AI/ML is no more a buzzword. It's a reality. 3 years back, people were saying that, okay, this is one of the buzzwords we are talking about. But today it's a reality. We saw some case studies within GSK. I have seen some of them going on. So for me, this is like dream coming true.
Yep.
So AI/ML was one of the big things which I take away. The other was people also debate about ethical AI, which is important because sometimes machines can bring unintentional bias and how you want to overcome that. I think so. Regulators brought a lot of good points that how they are dealing with this innovation, how they are getting aligned with these innovation. And then one of the most exciting one was how you design your organization of a data scientist for future. I think so. All the 3-4 leaders on that panel are the ones I look towards. They are all are great leaders who are talking about the right thing at the right time. So how industry is now seeing that how I will operationalize these within our organization. And for me, these are the big things for us for this year event. And then obviously the position paper we have done through JSCDM is good to have the right guidance for the industry that how you evolve into a data science organization. Those are my quick takeaways.
I would like to ask you my final question, which I give to everyone. It's the impossible situation, but let's go for it anyway. If I could hand you a magic wand, and if there were 2 things that cause you frustration today that you could just submit to room 101, never to be repeated, never to have to be done again. And if I could also give you that same magic wand and you could create 2 things you can't do today that you wish you could, what would they be?
2 things. I have a big wish list, by the way, Richard, but I will stick to 2. One is definitely changing the old infrastructure in one go, which I cannot do. I have to go and I have to live with some of those limitations for years because it has its own challenges. Correct? So making a new house is much simpler than renovating an old one. So that's one thing. So old infrastructure, if I can get rid of that in one go, will be a big win. But that's a wish list. Second thing is, I don't want people to be afraid of losing jobs. It will never happen. I think so today, still people are very worried about their own jobs, thinking that machine is coming, AI is coming, and they may lose their job. If I have a wish list and a magic one, I'll say, don't worry about it. There is no risk on your job. You will have a job, maybe a better job than what you're doing today. So those 2 things I would like to change. What I would like to bring, maybe more startups in our space, which we don't have it. We have good number of startups, but not that great. I know people want to invest more into fintech, energy, infrastructure, supply chain. I will be happy to see when I have a similar kind of startup competition within our group, where people look into clinical data or life science data together and design more very futuristic startups. Maybe that is one wish list. And the other is, I want to create a forum someday or the other where the data democratization can be done. Now, this is something way beyond my own remits and my authorities, but this is something which we should look as an industry. If we can do something, will be great. I don't know how we will do it, but something which I look towards future.
Perfect. I have to say, it's been an immense pleasure. And I do want to say thank you for joining us today. I would also like to invite you to have the final word, which I don't give you very often. But in this case, I would really like to give you the final word to share anything else with our audience.
I will say, guys, that stay motivated, strive for the best. And a lot of new joiners come to me and say they are bored on a Monday morning. Please don't get bored on a Monday morning, because if you are excited on a Monday morning, it will make sure that you will bring the change. I'm an example of it who believed in it. Richard is one. There are many leaders who have done this over the years. The reason they all were able to do something better than what their previous ones were doing, because they thought Mondays are exciting for them. So keep going for it, stay motivated, and keep the patient in center of everything what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you very much to everyone who's joined us today. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Thank you, Mayank.
Thank you. Namaste.